These agencies are hopelessly corrupt. And I want people to remember that these are the same agencies that failed at 9/11, and not a single one of them was held accountable. And then they created this monster. So the same agencies that failed at 9/11, the same managers, are the ones that then created CBP, ICE, and then brought in Border Patrol, which had heavy influence over the creation of what we see now. And this is why we see the oversight agencies that act as internal affairs for the immigration agencies are basically filled with ex-agents. And so it's a bro system. It's the worst kind of fraternity that you've ever seen.
Fox guarding the hen house with regard to internal affairs, for sure. When we talk about corruption and cover-up, I've got to mention, and I want you to talk about the HBO documentary, Critical Incident, Death at the Border, which I want to check out. I haven't seen it yet. But you were part of that. Tell us about what that documentary is about.
So there was a NGO down here, Southern Border Community Coalition, that had asked me to look at one case from 2010 in which an undocumented migrant who had been living in San Diego for like over 20 years was beaten to death and tased to death down here at the port of entry. And I looked at it and I was surprised to see that San Diego Police Department had adequately documented the corruption of evidence and what the illegal critical incident teams did. So people need to understand that Border Patrol does not have the authority to investigate themselves for use of force violations. They do not have the authority to do full investigations like the FBI does, like CBP does. And so what the Border Patrol did in the late 1980s, 87, down here in San Diego, they had killed like 24 people in 1 year, which was a lot for one sector. And so because they were seeing a lot of civil payments that they were having to make out to these families, they then created the critical incident teams, CITs or SITs. And what we told the professional investigators, like our local sheriffs, FBI, and everybody else who does have the authority to investigate those issues, use of force issues, is that, we just are here to help you and facilitate as a liaison. If you need this agent, I'll get this agent. Do you need this? Blah, blah, blah. But really what we were told privately in our law enforcement sensitive use of force handbooks was, call the SIT teams in first and they will fix the evidence and make it match the narrative. And that's how we will do this. And the chief involved in this case that I was looking at was Chief Rodney Scott. And Chief Scott, he ordered the agents to basically get rid of evidence. He used an administrative immigration subpoena to get his medical records. He had agents go to the autopsy, which they have no business doing. I mean, can you imagine, Frank, if somebody had killed your wife and then their family is involved in the investigation and sitting in on the autopsy and stuff? I mean, it's just like, this is just corrupt as hell. Yeah. And so we're the ones that determine the evidence. We're the ones and then we make it so that even if it is a good case, the evidence is handled so poorly because it's handled by our critical incident teams that were secretly trained in the federal law enforcement training centers by our own Border Patrol agents who do not have that authority to act as evidence technicians.
Right.
And so they're contaminating the evidence as they're collecting it and stuff. And so by the time, in the few handful of cases that actually do get to court over the years, your prosecutors, even if they're doing a good job, they cannot use this evidence because it's contaminated. So we're covering ourselves all the way. And that's why we never get held accountable for this. And I had started investigating this when HBO came around and said, we want to do a film. And I said, well, I happen to be doing this. Why don't you just follow me while I do this? And that case, what I was specifically looking for to prove the coordination between the illegal cover-up teams and the union attorneys that they were using to defend those agents. And I have one document where the judge said, "Are we ready to go to court?" And this union attorney wrote back, "Why, yes, sir, I am ready to go to court. I have the San Diego PD report and I have the critical incident team report." And I was like, "Oh, what?"
Uh-huh. Wow.
Wow. And yet the defense attorney, everybody else doesn't have that critical incident team report. So they're using this to corrupt the court cases and everything else.
And it would breed a culture where agents feel like, hey, I'm immune. If I get involved in a critical incident, shoot somebody or what have you, use of force, this team's going to come in, have my back. Yep. They'll take care of me, and I need not worry. And now that would seemingly lead to more violence and more aggression without fear.
It's the impunity that you see in your streets today. And the sad part about all this, Frank, is that, I mean, HBO, you can only see it on HBO. They will not give any of us who were involved in it a CD. They won't let us go out and present it to people and give talks. So it's going to disappear. Now it's up for an Emmy and a Peabody Award. So they're kind of going to have trouble with that. But I can't even get a copy of it. They can't talk about it, can't do anything about it without getting sued. Yeah. And it's going to be erased. And the sad part about it is, like, when it first came out, some of the reviews, someone said, well, this was a crime that occurred a long time ago. And I'm like, it's relevant now because the Chief Rodney Scott is now the commissioner of CBP. And he testified before Congress a couple of weeks ago when Rand Paul was questioning him and ICE Director Lyons. And he asked Rodney Scott about the Preddy shooting. And Rodney Scott testified to him, yes, my CBP OPR, which is Office of Professional Responsibility, is the one handling the evidence in the Preddy case. And I was like, because unfortunately what Biden did is he had the opportunity to disband those units, which he did, and come forward and have truth hearings about what was done and all this other stuff, and admit what we did and try and make the Border Patrol accountable and better off for it, and everybody could maybe gain some trust and this and that. No, he rolled them into CBP OPR, which legalized him. So those guys and women that were wearing those Border Patrol SIT team shirts took them off and put on a CBP OPR shirt, and they're doing the same thing. There's been no accountability. So what he admitted to was, I'm using the corrupt illegal teams that I used as a Border Patrol chief, and now I'm doing it to the good shooting and to the Preddy shooting. And I'm like, and you see the Democratic politicians aren't talking about it. When you watch the movie, and you'll have to watch it soon, Frank, because it's going to disappear.
It'll be gone.
You'll see Senator, I think Senator Padilla is in it. And all he can muster is, well, if this is true, this is really bad. And it's like, oh, come on. And I couldn't figure out why they weren't talking about it, because they have this film out there right now, Frank, to really hammer on what's going on and the illegalities and the brutality, and they won't say a word about it. And his staff said that they were afraid of appearing anti-law enforcement, anti-Border Patrol, and they felt that going to the unaccompanied children facilities and focusing on how they're being treated, which is important, but focusing on that as opposed to focusing on the illegal critical incident teams was a better political move for him. And I'm like, oh God.